Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Mrs. Madeeha Sadique, Subject Specialist Chemistry at Divisional Public School and College, Sahiwal. Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you? Hope you will be fine. Students, you are learning chapter number 10, Acid, Bases and Salts. And today's learning objectives are definition of salt, properties of salts, and preparation of soluble and insoluble salts. At the end of the lecture, you will be able to define a salt and you will be able to understand the properties of salt and understand how you can prepare soluble and insoluble salts. Let's have a look at the previous knowledge. Students, we have already learned about some concepts of acids and bases. You have learned about general properties of acids. Then you learn general properties of bases, pH scale and indicators. Dear students, do you know what is this? Of course you know. This is salt, which we use in our daily life for flavoring. So our today's topic is salt. That is the definition of salt, properties of salt, and preparation of soluble and insoluble salts. Students, you have already learned the neutralization reaction between a base and an acid to form salt and water. Here, sodium hydroxide, which is a base, react with hydrochloric acid, which is an acid, to form sodium chloride, which is salt, and water. This NaCl is a salt and it is an ionic compound, as sodium carry positive charge and chloride carry negative charge. So it is an ionic compound. And you know that it was formed by the neutralization of a base with an acid. So now let's see the definition of salt. The definition of salt is that salts are ionic compounds generally formed by the neutralization of an acid with a base. Students, आप डेली लाइफ में सॉल्ट का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, तो क्या आप ये जानना चाहते हैं कि सॉल्ट बनते कैसे हैं? Of course you will. So let's see how salts are made of. You already know the structure of NaCl. You have learned the structure of NaCl in ionic bond, and you know that sodium carry positive charge, so it is a cation, and chloride carry negative charge, so it is an anion. Salts are made up of positive ions, cations, and negative ions, anions. Let's see the neutralization reaction again. In this, base combine with an acid to form salt and water. The salt is NaCl. NaCl, sodium, is a cation and it was derived from base. So a cation is metallic cation derived from a base. It is called basic radicals, where chloride is an anion and it was derived from acid. Therefore, it is called acidic radicals. A cation is metallic ion derived from a base. Therefore, it is called basic radicals, while anion is derived from an acid. Therefore, it is called acid radicals. Students, now you are better able to understand about the acid radicals and basic radicals. A salt gets its name from the name of the metal and the acid. For example, let's see metal, acid, and the name of the salt. sodium combined with hydrochloric acid, which is an acid, to form sodium chloride. So sodium chloride is a salt and it get its name from the name of the metal, that is the sodium, and the acid, that was hydrochloric acid. Next one is potassium, which is a metal. It reacts with acid, nitric acid, to form potassium nitrate. Potassium nitrate is a salt, and how it get its name? It get its name from the name of the metal, because the potassium and the acid, nitric acid. Potassium and nitric acid combine to form potassium nitrate. Next one is the zinc metal. It reacts with sulfuric acid to form zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate is salt, and how it get its name? It get its name from the name of the metal, which was zinc, combined with acid, sulfuric acid, to form zinc sulfate. So it was all about how a salt get its name. A salt get its name from the name of the metal and the acid. Next is the properties of salts. Students, now you will learn about some properties of salt. The first property of salt is that salts are ionic compound. You already know one of the ionic compound, that is the sodium chloride, जो हम डेली लाइफ में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, और आपको पता है सोडियम क्लोराइड एक आयनिक कंपाउंड है. आपने जब आयनिक बॉन्ड वाला टॉपिक पढ़ा था तो उसमें आपने पढ़ा था कि सोडियम क्लोराइड एक आयनिक कंपाउंड है. So salts are ionic compound and they are found in crystalline form. The next one is that they have high melting and boiling points. जो salts होते हैं, क्योंकि वो ionic compound होते हैं, इस वजह से they have high melting and boiling points. उनका melting and boiling points high होता है. Next one is most of the salt contain water of crystallization, which is responsible for the shape of the crystals. Number of molecules of water are specific for each salt and they are written with the chemical formula for a salt. For example, copper sulfate, pentahydrate. Copper sulfate में क्योंकि 5 water molecule होते हैं, it is written as copper sulfate pentahydrate. Similarly, calcium sulfate में क्योंकि 2 water molecule होते हैं, similarly it is written as calcium sulfate dihydrate. Students, जो salts होती हैं उनकी crystals के अंदर water मौजूद होता है, जिन्हें हम कहते हैं water of crystallization. और ये जो water of crystallization है, it is responsible for the shape of crystals. यहाँ पे आपको नजर आ रहा होगा, this is the copper sulfate, and you can also see the pores inside this salt. These pores are representing the water of the crystals. जो salts की crystals हैं उनके अंदर water होता है और इस water की वजह से the water depend upon the shape of the crystals. और जिस भी salt की crystals के अंदर जितने water के molecules मौजूद होंगे, हम उनको उनके साथ लिखेंगे. जैसे copper sulfate में 5 water molecules होते हैं तो हम लिखेंगे CuSO4.5H2O, क्योंकि इसके अंदर 5 water molecules मौजूद होते हैं. So it is called as copper sulfate pentahydrate. Similarly, calcium sulfate के अंदर 2 water molecules होंगे. इसकी जो crystals है इसके अंदर 2 water molecules मौजूद होते हैं. So it is written as calcium sulfate dihydrate. I hope now you are able to understand this point. The last one is that salts are neutral compounds. Salt overall are neutral compound, क्योंकि इनके अंदर cation और anion होते हैं, but overall they are neutral compound. Although they do not have equal number of positive and negative ions. Salts के अंदर जो positive और negative ions हैं, जरूरी नहीं कि वो equal हो, but they have equal number of positive and negative charges. लेकिन salts के अंदर जो charges हैं, they are always equal. क्योंकि positive और negative charges equal होते हैं, इसी वजह से salts neutral compounds हैं. Let's take the example of sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate is a salt, and you know that the formula of sodium sulfate is Na2SO4. In sodium sulfate, 2 ions of sodium are present, while 1 ion of sulfate is present, but they carry equal charges. 2 ions of sodium carry +2 charge, and 1 ion of sulfate carry -2 charge. Similarly, in sodium chloride, you know that the formula of sodium chloride is NaCl. It has +1 charge on sodium and -1 charge on chlorine. It has one positive ion and one negative ion. But the charges are equal. On sodium +1 charge and in chlorine -1 charge. So the charges on the ions are same. That is why the salts are neutral. So these were the few properties of salts. Next, preparation of salt. Now let's see how you can prepare salt. There are total 5 general methods for the preparation of salt. 4 methods make soluble salts, but 1 prepare insoluble salts. हमारे पास total 5 methods हैं जिनके जरिए से हम salt को prepare कर सकते हैं. उनमें से 4 methods ऐसे हैं जिनमें हम soluble salts prepare करेंगे, and among them 1 method prepare insoluble salts. First of all, let's see the preparation of soluble salts. How you can prepare the soluble salts. Soluble salts are often prepared in water. Therefore, they are recovered by evaporation or crystallization. Soluble salts क्योंकि अक्सर water के अंदर prepare किए जाते हैं, इस वजह से अगर हमने उनको recover करना है, then we can recover them by the method of evaporation and crystallization. So this is the first method for the preparation of soluble salts, that is by the reaction of an acid and a metal, and this is also called direct displacement method. If you react an acid with a metal, then soluble salts are prepared, and this process is called direct displacement method. Let's see how an acid reacts with a metal. This is a zinc metal and hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid. These are 2 acids. Now we are adding metal in the acid. Metal will react with acid and a gas evolve. You can observe the evolution of the gas. Acid react with metal and it forms salt with the evolution of the gas. This is direct displacement method in which hydrogen ions of an acid is replaced by reactive metals such as calcium, magnesium, zinc and iron. Example given is acid, which is hydrochloric acid, react with metal magnesium to form salt magnesium chloride with the evolution of a gas, and the gas is hydrogen gas. Now let's see the reaction. When magnesium combined with chlorine, then it forms magnesium chloride, MgCl2. You already know how to make the formula. The valency of magnesium is +2 and on chlorine -1, and when we shall make the formula, it will be MgCl2. So magnesium combined with chlorine to form magnesium chloride, MgCl2, and this hydrogen will evolve as gas H2. Here this is the hydrogen gas which will evolve. So in direct displacement method, acid react with the metal in which hydrogen ions of the acid is replaced by reactive metal, and salt is formed, and this salt is soluble salt with the evolution of hydrogen gas. So this was the first method by using which we can prepare a soluble salt. That is the reaction of an acid with metal. Let's see the next method by the reaction of an acid and a base. This method is also called neutralization reaction. It is a neutralization reaction in which acid and base react to produce salt and water. Students, you have already learned the neutralization reaction between an acid and a base to form salt and water. Here the acid is hydrochloric acid. It reacts with base sodium hydroxide to form salt, sodium chloride and water. In this, sodium reacts with chlorine to form sodium chloride, and this hydrogen from the acid react with hydroxyl ion to form water. So the hydrogen ions of acid is replaced by the metal and it forms salt and water. So this is the second method for the preparation of soluble salt, in which acid react with base to form salt and water. Let's see the next method. By the reaction of an acid and metallic oxide. Mostly the insoluble metallic oxides react with dilute acids to form salt and water. The acid is sulfuric acid H2SO4. It reacts with metallic oxide, copper oxide to form salt, copper sulfate and water. Let's see the reaction again. This copper react with sulfate to form copper sulfate CuSO4. And this hydrogen from the acid react with oxygen to form water. So it was the reaction between an acid and metallic oxide to form salt and water. The salt, which is copper sulfate CuSO4, it is soluble in water. So it is one of the method for the preparation of soluble salts. Let's see the next method. By the reaction of an acid and a carbonate. Dilute acids react with metallic carbonates to produce salt, water and carbon dioxide gas. स्टूडेंट्स ये रिएक्शन आपने पहले भी पढ़ा हुआ है, जनरल प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ एसिड जिसमें आपने पढ़ा था, प्रिपरेशन ऑफ एसिड्स में, उसके अंदर भी आपने ये रिएक्शन पढ़ा था, रिएक्शन ऑफ एसिड विद कार्बोनेट्स एंड बाइकार्बोनेट्स आपने पढ़ा था. So now we shall again discuss the reaction between an acid and carbonates. Acid is nitric acid, react with sodium carbonate to form sodium nitrate, salt and H2O water with the evolution of a gas which is carbon dioxide gas. Let's see the reaction again. This sodium combined with nitrate to form sodium nitrate NaNO3. And this is CO3. One of the oxygen is removed. It will left as CO2. This CO2 is released in the form of gas. And these two hydrogen and one of the oxygen from here combine to form water. So this was the reaction between an acid and carbonate to form salt and water, and carbon dioxide gas is evolved. The last one is the preparation of insoluble salts. How can you prepare insoluble salts? In this method, usually solution of soluble salts are mixed. During the reaction, exchange of ionic radicals, that is metallic radicals, exchange with acidic radicals take place to produce two new salts. One of the salt is insoluble and the other is soluble. The insoluble salt precipitates. Precipitates means solidifying the solution. So during the preparation of insoluble salts, हम two soluble salts को mix करते हैं. During the reaction, exchange होते हैं ionic radicals का और it produce two salts. ये जो two salts produce होंगे, one of them is soluble and the other is insoluble. For example, silver nitrate reacts with sodium chloride to form silver chloride and sodium nitrate. Let's see the reaction again. Here, the silver combined with chlorine to form silver chloride, and sodium combined with nitrate to form sodium nitrate. Here, silver chloride solidified, that is, it precipitates, and sodium nitrate remains in aqueous form. So, sodium nitrate is soluble salt and silver chloride is insoluble salt. Two salts are produced. One of them is soluble and the other is insoluble. The next is the reaction between sodium carbonate and copper sulfate. They combine with each other to form copper carbonate and sodium sulfate. Let's see the reaction. Copper combined with carbonate to form copper carbonate. The first one, the S indicate, the small s indicate that it solidified or it precipitates in the solution, while sodium combined with sulfate to form sodium sulfate. AQ in brackets indicate it remains in aqueous form or it is soluble form. So sodium sulfate is soluble salt and copper carbonate is insoluble salt. Two salts are produced, one of them is soluble and the other is insoluble. So it was all about the preparation of salt. How can you prepare salt? Let's have a recapitulation. First of all, you learn the definition of salt, that salts are ionic compound generally formed by the neutralization of an acid and a base. Next, you learn some characteristics properties of salt. First, you learn that salts are ionic compound and they are found in crystalline form. Next, you learn that they have high melting and boiling points. Then you learn that most of the salts contain water of crystallization. बहुत सारे salts ऐसे हैं जिनकी crystals के अंदर water मौजूद होता है and this water it is responsible for the shape of the crystals. Number of molecules of water are specific for each salt. हर salt के अंदर जितने number of molecules हैं वो specific होंगे और उनको हम लिखते हैं with the chemical formula of a salt. For example, copper sulfate के अंदर क्योंकि 5 water molecules होते हैं तो copper sulfate के अंदर के साथ हम लिखेंगे CuSO4 5H2O. Similarly, calcium sulfate की crystal के अंदर 2 water molecules होते हैं. Then we shall also write calcium sulfate dihydrate. हम उसके chemical formula के साथ water molecule भी लिखेंगे. Next, you learn another property of salt, that salts are neutral compounds although they do not have equal number of positive and negative ions. Salts के अंदर जो positive और negative ion बेशक वो equal नहीं होते हैं लेकिन उनके अंदर positive और negative charges हमेशा equal होती हैं. That is why salts are neutral compounds. Then you learn some general methods for the preparation of salts, that how can you prepare soluble and insoluble salts. First of all, you learn preparation of soluble salts. कैसे आप prepare कर सकते हैं soluble salt? इसके आपने 4 methods पढ़े. First method was by the reaction of an acid and a metal, which is also called direct displacement method. You learn that in direct displacement method, acid react with metal to form salt and hydrogen gas was evolved. Next, you learn by the reaction of an acid and a base. It is also called neutralization reaction, in which acid and base combine and they form salt and water, and the salt which was prepared was soluble salts. Next, you learn by the reaction of an acid and metallic oxide. Metallic oxide react with acid to form salt. Next, you learn by the reaction of an acid and carbonate. Acid react with carbonate to form salt with the evolution of a gas, and the salt which is produced is soluble salt. Next is the preparation of insoluble salt. You learn how can you prepare insoluble salt. Insoluble salt can be prepared by mixing two soluble salts. हम दो soluble salts को mix करते हैं and two salts are produced. One of them is soluble and the other is insoluble salt. So it was all about the preparation of salts. Now there is an assignment for you. Question number 1 is define salt. You have to learn the definition of salt. Next one is name the type of reaction that take place between an acid and a metal. Which gas would evolve in this reaction? Explain with an example. First of all, आपने ये बताना है name the type of reaction that take place between an acid and a metal. सबसे पहले तो आपने ये बताना है कि जो रिएक्शन होता है बिटवीन एन एसिड एंड अ मेटल, उस रिएक्शन का नाम क्या है. विच गैस वुड इवॉल्व इन द रिएक्शन, और इस रिएक्शन में कौन सी गैस इवॉल्व होगी, इसको आपने एक एग्जांपल के साथ एक्सप्लेन करना है. नेक्स्ट इज द लर्न द टॉपिक प्रिपरेशन ऑफ सॉल्ट. आपने जो टॉपिक है प्रिपरेशन ऑफ सॉल्ट उसको लर्न करना है. फर्स्ट ऑल अबाउट today's lecture. Thanks a lot and have a very good day.